Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to begin, but before we do, just a couple of announcements. Following our time here, you are invited to join the family for a light lunch and refreshments. So please take a moment to take your phone out and put it on silence or shut it off, and so we can quiet our hearts so that we can be fully present as we honor Lawrence. Thank you. As well, this is being live streamed, and these microphones, when the speakers please come up, please do not adjust any of these microphones, as it will tamper with our live streaming. Thank you. The act of lighting a candle in honor of those who have passed is a centuries-old tradition that allows us to express what we cannot in words. By lighting a candle for our loved ones, we remember and honor their life and their memory. As well, by lighting the candle from one another symbolizes the continuing bond of family and the unity of souls. The larger one represents Lawrence, and the three others below represent his beloved wife, Mary. The second, his precious children and grandchildren, and the third represents his loving siblings. I invite Mary, Arthur, and Denise to come up and light the candles as I read the following reflection. We light this candle to represent our grief. The pain of losing you is intense. It reminds us of the depth of our love for you. We light this candle to represent courage, to confront our sorrow, to comfort each other, to change our lives. We light this candle in your memory for the times we laughed, the times we cried, the times we were angry with each other, the silly things you did, the caring and joy you gave us. We light this candle knowing that your light will always shine. We cherish the special place in our hearts that will always be reserved for you. We thank you for the gift your living brought to each of us. We love you and we remember you. Amen. Welcome and good morning. My name is Lori Lucky, and I am honored and humbled to be the celebrant as we gather here at the Fort Saskatchewan Community Center for this most sacred day to remember Lawrence Joseph Bellemore and his amazing full life. There is no higher calling than to walk beside a family on the hardest days of their lives and to tell the stories and remember that Lawrence's life made such an impression upon his world. We join our hearts together to support Lawrence's family and come as compassionate partners in grief for his beloved wife, Mary, of 38 years, his precious children, Arthur, Mona, Andre, and Lorne, 8 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren, all of whom held a special place in his heart, sisters Alice, Rose, Denise, and brother Victor, and their significant others, together with numerous extended family and dear friends. Unfortunately, Lorne was unable to attend today due to utter exhaustion and doctor's orders, but her presence is felt in spirit. Lawrence faced numerous challenges in recent years, battling various ailments caused by cancer. On March 8, 2024, he was to suffer no more, peacefully drifting into eternal rest in the tender embrace of his wife Mary and daughter Lauren. Lawrence was predeceased by his parents Albert and Angeline, brother Claude, and sisters Lorraine and Germaine. On behalf of the family, let me express their gratitude for your presence here today, and especially those people who could not be with us and are watching via live stream. Welcome. It is a noteworthy day when we stop to acknowledge the importance of a life lived and the difference Lawrence made every day, especially to his family, friends, and community. Your presence, whether you are here because you were part of Lawrence's life or you are here to support one of his loved ones, means that Lawrence made a difference in your world. We are here to give thanks for the full life of this wonderful man who brought a gregarious smile and an assured competence to each day, and to acknowledge that Lawrence's contribution had an enormous impact. It is such part of our nature, our souls, our very being, to stop all activities for a while and to acknowledge the depth and importance of life, and to spend some time reflecting in gratitude for a man who passed through your life, leaving a wide swath of love and memories. Today is Lawrence's day. He was never happier than when surrounded by family and friends, and so we will make this a special time, honoring his life, standing in awe of his heart and the enormous contributions that he made throughout his lifetime, and breathing together the sighs of sadness that he is gone, and joyful whispers that he was a part of your world. I received guidance to wear vibrant hues, a departure from my usual attire for such occasions. I happily embrace this opportunity, recognizing that this celebration of life is inherently colorful and joyous, as is the man we're about to celebrate today. I had the pleasure and the privilege to meet with Gina Gentilli, niece to Lawrence, to learn more about her beloved uncle and what he fashioned throughout his lifetime. And in hearing Gina speak so fondly of her uncle, I have found one thing to be true. I am reminded each time I join a group of people, as I am here today, that each life is like a stone thrown into a pond. It sends out ripples that touch first those closest, but which continue to spread and reach so many others, changing so many lives in unexpected ways, long after the stone has disappeared beneath the surface of the waters. Today, we are privileged to have an array of speakers to pay tribute to Lawrence, a cherished husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, brother, uncle, cousin, and friend. They will share the resonating ripples emanating from Lawrence's life, urging you all to reflect on the moments when his impact touched your own. And as you do, also contemplate the ripples of what your own life creates within your families, among your friends, and throughout your community. May you aspire, through your actions, to elevate the lives of others, recognizing that with each life uplifted, the collective well-being of all is raised. So let's get started. Our inaugural speaker, Andre Bellemore, son of Lawrence, will commence by honoring Lawrence, my father, followed by Victor Bellemore, Lawrence's brother, who will eloquently share his reflections on Lawrence, my brother.
man, I'm terrible at these things. My poor wife's probably going, oh man, I wonder what he's going to say. It's okay. So, Lawrence, my father, I looked at it. I got some fond memories. I do have some regrets, and I do have some thankfulness. Fondest memories are obviously when we were children, growing up in Kelowna. I think that was the happiest days for our whole family. And Kelowna is not a bad place to grow up when you're a young kid. Too many memories there. The snowfalls, making snowmen, going to the lake all the time. It was a real nice, quiet time in Dad's life, in our life. Another fond trip when we were children. We traveled up the Alaska Highway, stopped at numerous hot springs. He had the biggest, heaviest, stiffest Ford truck. We felt every pebble on that road. It was pretty rough. I remember two sides of Dad on that trip. We were in Dawson City, and we just happened to be there for the city parade. And I don't know if you've been to a Dawson City parade. It's not very spectacular. I remember one young child was riding his bike, probably my age at the time, and his bike broke down. I think the chain fell off or something like that, and the kid's kind of hobbling his bike along, and he's crying, and Dad runs to the truck and grabs a crescent wrench and fixes them all up and saves the young kid's day. Not later that day, we were crossing the river on the ferry, and the ferry had a point like this, so one car would be there, and the cars would spread out, I think 2 or 3 wide, and then a point at the very back. And it just so happened these gentlemen had a car at very front, and we were right behind them with Dad's big Ford bumper truck, and Dad had a hot temper. The car wouldn't start, and everybody's waiting, everybody's looking at the watches. Dad's getting hotter and hotter by the minute, and I'm sitting up on the top of the window of the camper, and I can see everything, and the guy comes and says, hey, can you give me a push? And Dad's like, you want a push? Because it was a lot of standard cars back in the day. He says, you want a push? And this guy says, yeah, I want a push. Give me a push start. And Dad says, oh, I'll give you a push, all right. And I think there might have been a few cuss words in there at the time. So I'm sitting back there. I probably was all of 5 years old. So we were about this far from the car, probably this far from the car behind us. And Dad made sure to back up as far as he could. So he puts this truck into gear, and he says, you ready? You ready? Yeah, ready. And he smoked the back of that car. The bumper was about the same height as the trunk. The trunk folds up to the back window. He pushes the car, big puff of smoke, car starts, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen now? The guy sticks his arm out the window, waves, and he's gone. And the whole time, oh, Dad, he couldn't have done more damage, but I laugh. To this day, I laugh about that story. It's one of my, I don't know, it's a great memory, except for all the swearing. When I was a little older, I had a chance to go to see Dad at Seashelt. It's after he found Mary. And we started, people get older, people spread out a little bit, you start seeing less and less of people. So I had the opportunity to spend the summer with him, and I really enjoyed that. Mary's cooking of prawns, best prawns ever, although I'm allergic to them now. So I had a lot of fond memories with that. And then when you look back, you get some regrets, because our family had a weird family dynamic. We weren't incredibly close, but weren't crazy family where everybody hated everybody. Just that we grew apart, and that was a dynamic. I think Dad, the way Dad was raised, that's what he knew. So we weren't incredibly close. So, when you're 20s and 30s and you get your own family, you start separating. Dad's got his thing going on. He lived on the island for a while, lived in BC for a while, California for a while. You kind of spend less and less time with them. And as I was sitting with them towards the very end there, I thought, man, I could have did more. I could have spent more time with him. And, but you know, you're kids. Kids are jackasses. I was dumb as they get. You know, I don't care, whatever. I'm good, you're good, good enough. You know, a yearly phone call, you still alive? Yeah, good, okay, good. And I sat there and I'm like, man, I wish I could have done more. And this is a little bit of a cautionary tale for my cousins, I guess. Some of you are a little long in the tooth, you won't have to worry about it. But as I sat there, I had that regret, and then it dawned on me. And I looked at poor Dad, and I wondered, you know what? I wonder if he has the same regret, that he didn't spend more time when he could have. And I caution you not to, when it gets close to the end for you, that you don't be my dad. And he didn't say it, but I felt it. Don't be my dad where you could have spent more time with your children. You could have spent better quality time with them. You know, and you know, that's a life lesson for me too. So I'll try to live by that, and I hope everybody does too. And then I have a lot of thankfulness, and I'm extremely thankful for Mary and Loren coming into his life. We all knew Dad had a temper. I think all the Bellemores had a temper. I had a temper, probably still do a little bit, but she brought a calm. She brought a calm to my dad that he never had, and a peacefulness in his life that I'll forever be thankful, Mary. We were blessed to have you come into our life. And other than that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I know it's a small turnout, which is exactly what my dad would have wanted. I think he didn't want anything. So, and I really appreciate everybody that came out here today. And I think, once again, in the regrets, we probably should spend some more time together as cousins and extended family as well. Okay? So, thank you.
I'm going to raise this up a little bit so everybody can hear us. Good morning, everyone. Lots of friends and neighbors here that I've never met. I'm Victor Bellemore, Lawrence's younger brother. There's 13 years difference between Lawrence and I, but as I got older, we found more and more things in common, like we both became carpenters. Lawrence enjoyed the finishing end of the carpentry, built beautiful furniture for his homes. Myself, more of the framing end of it and the rough end of it. My finishing stuff comes from IKEA. Lawrence was an avid hunter, whether it be rifle hunting or slingshot. Hunting wild chickens with a slingshot or even a rock sometimes, see? Larry, you seen that? A little bit of a caveman style, wouldn't you think so, eh? With rocks, but whatever. When I was younger, Lawrence would take me hunting gophers on Mom and Dad's farm. Lawrence hunted big game with the Willette boys. But in the later years, he had to be home before dark. Lawrence's early passion was to be a farmer, but the yearning to go to BC was much stronger. So then farming was put aside and off to BC we go. Lawrence and Jeanette started raising their family in BC, Arthur, Mona, and Andre. When I turned 16, I ran away from home. Rael and I drove to McBride. There, Lawrence put me to work in construction, and Rael carried on to Prince George, where his sister lives. While in BC, he had his own construction company, subcontracting for different big contractors. After summer holidays, I came back to Alberta and went back to school. Then later I went to Nate, got an apprenticeship going. While living in BC, Lawrence hit a moose with his pickup truck. The moose went over the hood, over the cab, into the box, took the windshield out, and took the tailgate out. So they loaded this thing back up in the truck, and they managed to get home in the cold. They butchered and ate that moose. No one was hurt, just shaken up. It didn't stop Lawrence from hunting. The years went by, and Lawrence worked in BC. Meantime, at the age of 22, I started my own construction company, doing concrete foundations, subcontracting from Valaire's Construction in Bonnyville. Lawrence and Jeanette moved back to Alberta as things were really slow in BC. He contracted from us for a year or so, then Lawrence went on his own again. Sometimes competition with us, but all was well. While living in Bonnyville area, Lawrence built new homes for different people, at the same time building a big, beautiful home just south of Fort Kent for his own family. Lawrence and Jeanette got a divorce. And then a few years later, he met Mary. They got married and moved to Ontario, where Lawrence worked in construction and finishing again. A couple years later, they moved back to Bonnyville, where Lauren was born. Traffic on Highway 401 was too much for him. BC was calling again. So a few months later, they moved back again. Must have been the gypsy blood going on, eh? Lawrence and Mary lived in BC till 97. While living there, he worked construction and raised rabbits. Lauren named all the pets, but once in a while, they would have one for supper. In 97, Lawrence and I teamed up together and went building motels for a company known today as Western Legacy. Lawrence worked there for many years. If only the walls could talk, there'd be many stories to tell, but now all fond memories. Health issues started to creep up on him. He retired from heavy construction at the age of 76, but still did small jobs in his shop, all the while perfecting on his gardening skills. Found a new favorite hunting spot east of Elk Island Park. Had good luck there, but still had to be home before dark. Lawrence learned all about hunting at a very young age. Dad told us a story about Lawrence following barefoot in the bush carrying a gun because he wasn't supposed to make noise. He thought Dad forgot the gun behind, but as his health deteriorated and he became housebound, we would spend time on Sunday afternoons with Lawrence and Mary and Lauren. We brought along friends and relatives. He always had a big smile and a handshake for everybody. We would tell stories, had good laughs. The cats would join us on the bed. He loved his cats. Thank you, Gina, for organizing this. Lawrence will be dearly missed. Thank you, Mary and Lauren, for taking such good care of my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre and Victor. They were both beautiful and heartfelt. I would like to introduce and present to you Cheryl Dahmer, our harpist for today, who played so beautifully as we gathered, as well as throughout the candle lighting ceremony. She will be enchanting us with the rendition of Pachelbel's Canon by Johann Pachelbel and a couple of other solos during the service. So I encourage you to take a deep breath, sit back, and take a moment for inward reflection. Lawrence was born to humble beginnings on a farm near Bonnyville, where he developed an enduring connection with the land that shaped his character and work ethic. Excuse me. He was number 2 out of 8 children, and as a young boy, he learned the art of hard work, resilience, and resourcefulness from his parents, instilling in him a deep appreciation for the simple pleasures of life. His fondness for dedicating hours to puzzling served as a testament to his patience and determination to witness a beautiful picture unfold, much like his precision he demonstrated in his carpentry craft, and as they are displayed here in front of us. Lawrence's hands were gifted with a natural talent for craftsmanship. His skills as a carpenter were unparalleled, creating timeless pieces that will stand as testament to his artistry. Beyond the workshop, Lawrence found solace in the great outdoors. He was an avid outdoorsman, spending countless hours exploring the rugged landscapes that surrounded his childhood home. Whether fishing in the tranquil lakes or hiking through the dense woods, Lawrence felt a profound connection with nature that fueled his spirit and brought him a sense of peace. Lawrence's passion for hunting extended beyond the pursuit of game. It was a profound appreciation for the beauty of the outdoors, the challenge of the hunt, and the quiet moments of reflection that nature offered. So without further ado, I am honored to introduce 3 dear friends of Lawrence. First, Bill Hebert will provide reflection on Lawrence, my colleague, followed by Jim Bolio, who will speak insights on Lawrence, the sportsman. Finally, Jim Adam will speak on Lawrence, our neighbor.
Hi, my name is Bill Hebert. I have known Lawrence probably the last 10, 12 years of his life. Very good friend of mine, very good friend. I've worked with him. When I first met Lawrence, I was superintendent for Carrington Properties in Edmonton, and we were looking for a finishing type of a person that I also needed as an assistant superintendent. Lawrence came to the job site one day. I didn't know who he was. Nobody knew who he was. But he had just finished a job with Western. And he said, I'm looking for work. I said, what can you do? He said, well, I'm a carpenter. I said, good, you're hired. I didn't even check his reports. He did a lot of finishing work for us, such as installing doors, which was a specialty of Lawrence. If you guys knew of any work he done, he could install a door that you never had to check again in your life. He was very particular about it. And that's when you're building, like we built lifestyles buildings and condos. So you're installing 200, 250 doors a building. And it kept him pretty busy. And when he wasn't doing that, he was always helping. I had invited a friend of ours. I don't see Mike here. Oh, yes, there he is, Mike Haddon. We hired Mike right out of high school in Leduc. And between Lawrence and I, we got him trained. After retirement, I think that's when Lawrence moved to Leduc or to Fort Saskatchewan. He was still working for us. He was shortly after he retired, though. And I just live out of town here a little ways, and we, after Lawrence retired and I retired, we started doing some hunting and fishing, and, well, not too much fishing, but hunting. We love to hunt grouse and deer and moose, although we never got any. I think we got one deer in all the years we were working, but we had more fun traveling around the country and exploring roads and finding ways to get lost or get home. Sometimes we got lost, sometimes we made it home. Lawrence was a dedicated member of the Alberta Fish and Wildlife. He just loved that organization. He wanted me to join, and I kept putting it off, and I never did, so I kind of feel bad about that. I hope Lawrence finds lots of green grass and lovely meadows, lakes, and forests where wildlife is abundant. And I'm sure where he's going to, that's what he'll be looking for. He'll be happy there and finally at peace and free from pain. And I'd like to thank Mary and Janelle and Lauren for giving me this opportunity to speak a few words about Lawrence. He was a very good friend of mine. Thank you.
My name is Jim Beaulieu. I'm a friend of Lawrence's. Just like to thank you for gathering here today to celebrate the remarkable life of our dear friend and family member. It's an honor to stand before you and share some memories of a man who truly embodied resilience, positivity, and passion for life. I first met Lawrence only about 7 years ago at the Fort Sask the Fort Sask Trade Show. He was manning the Fish and Game Club booth. As fate would have it, we struck up a conversation, discovered our shared interest in carpentry, the outdoors, and our Franco-Albertan roots. Little did I know that this chance encounter would resolve in a relationship filled with camaraderie and shared adventures and true friendship. At first, our relationship was mainly business related. I needed a skilled carpenter to do a few little jobs for us, some doors and some flooring and whatnot. And our professional collaboration began when I had a flooring job, and I teamed Lawrence up with one of my sons, who was youthful exuberance and strength combined with Lawrence's decades of experience and knowledge. They created an exceptional team, and they were able to satisfy our clients' needs and also formed a bond that moved beyond the job site. So as the seasons changed from summer to fall, Lawrence and I stayed connected and maintained our working relationship. Our conversations initially centered around work, soon meandered into discussions about our shared passion for hunting. And before long, we were deep into conversations about hunting tactics instead of the job we were working on, as things go. With Lawrence's wealth of experience, he became my hunting mentor, sharing his know-how gained from his lifetime in the sport. His generosity extended even to sharing his favorite hunting spots, that was previously mentioned, just outside of town, which was really nice for us to get out together close to town here. Lawrence was very generous with his time and knowledge, and he's more than willing to invite my sons along with us to share his favorite hunting spot, and shared in our excitement when my son Will shot his first deer there. My sons greatly admired Lawrence as well for his good nature, generosity. On more than one occasion, Lawrence would give me a call and say, "Come on over to the house. I've got some clothes your boys could use, or some tools that he wasn't using anymore," and I knew that we'd put them to use, and we were greatly appreciative of that generosity. I couldn't always make it out with Lawrence hunting, and once in a while in those November evenings, I'd get a phone call from Lawrence just after dark, right after last hunting light, and I thought, I hope Lawrence got an animal, and be anticipating that phone call, and sure enough, he'd give me a call and say, "I got myself a buck. Jim, can you come out and give us a hand to load him?" Which would be happy to do and share in his success. I was consistently amazed by Lawrence's can-do attitude and unyielding resilience. While many might use age as an excuse to slow down, Lawrence embraced life with vigor. Often found myself boasting about my friend's tenacity. How many octogenarians do you know that are still hunting, let alone solo hunting from a tree stand? Not many. Well, just the one. That's the only one, Lawrence. On our last hunting excursion together in the fall of 2022, it perfectly encapsulated Lawrence's spirit. He called me up excited about the rut taking off and insisted we seize the opportunity without hesitation. Work took a back seat with great reluctance. I had to leave work early. What could I do? Lawrence said the deer were plentiful and active, so Lawrence picked me up, armed with a meticulously planned strategy, not only to set up a hunting blind for me, complete with his homemade rifle stand and recovered camo stools. He had it all ready to go for me, but he also had himself about an 8x8 platform about 12 feet up in the trees that he had set up for himself. And on top of that, he had his hunting blind set up. Got to say, I was a little jealous of his hunting perch, but I'll have to build my own one day. I was on the ground for that day, but Lawrence was hunting up in this tree stand and couldn't believe it. Here's a man in his 80s battling serious illness and recovering from surgeries, and he's building tree forts in the forest and inviting friends to join him. So doesn't get much better than that. Lawrence, my friend, you were one of a kind, a legend in every sense. Your positive outlook, resilience, and boundless energy was an inspiration to me, my family, and those that knew and loved you as well. Today we celebrate your life. Let us remember the lessons you taught us to embrace challenges with a can-do attitude, do the best you can with what you have, and to always find joy in the moment. Lawrence, as per our last conversation, if there's hunting on the other side, you'll have the good sites. We expect you'll have the good sites scouted for us when we join you. Rest in peace, my friend.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim. My wife and I lived beside Mary and Lawrence for about 11 years before retiring and moving to a smaller town about 2 years ago. We were there for quite a while. Before Mary and Lawrence moved into the house beside us, the privacy fence between our backyards and garages had rotted out and had to be taken down, leaving it like two big backyards with two garages. If you went out their back door, you'd be looking at our yard or vice versa. So it was all wide open. And not knowing if Mary and Lawrence were private people, we asked when they moved in, do you guys want us to put up the fence? And they're like, no, that's fine, we're good. So a friendship was born after that. On most summer days, you could find Mary, Lawrence, and Laura puttering around in the garden, very nice gardens, trading plants, tips, and friendship. And I'm going to throw a story in here on the hunting theme. I'm not a hunter, but one day we're all out back, a nice summer day, and Lawrence called me over to his garage. He was all excited, and he says, you got to come and check out my new crossbow. And I said, okay. So went in his garage, and he showed me his crossbow and his nice arrows, and he was going to go bow hunting with that. And like I said, I'm not a hunter. I don't know anything about bows. So I said, well, it looks like a good one, Lawrence. Good for you. And I left his garage, and I went in the house for some reason. Mary and Laura were talking in the driveway, and Lawrence was in the garage. I went in the house. A few minutes later, I look out the front window, and I see Laura's car peeling out of the driveway and taking off up the street. And I thought, well, that's weird. She normally wouldn't leave without telling me where she's going. So I thought, well, I'll go ask Mary. Mary was right outside talking to her. She must have told Mary where she's going. So I go outside. There's no Mary. I go in the garage. There's no Lawrence. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I rang their doorbell to see if they were in the house, and there was just nobody. And I'm thinking, what is going on? So finally, Laura calls me from the hospital. Apparently, Lawrence was playing with his crossbow, and he almost took his thumb off. I don't know how he did that. But luckily, Laura and Mary were out there, and Laura had her car keys, so they just wrapped up his thumb and whipped him to the hospital. So he didn't lose his thumb, but I think he was close, wasn't he? I think he cut it right down to the bone. But yeah, that was one of our most exciting days in the backyard. But But yeah, Lawrence was a very avid gardener as well as a master craftsman, as other people have told you. I don't think there was anything that he couldn't build or fix. He was always there to give us a hand with a project or advise us on how to do something. I really did learn a lot from Lawrence and will always be grateful to him for that. Lawrence was a really good guy who would not hesitate to help people out with his time, skills, and even his tools. Lawrence started out as my neighbor, but ended up becoming a very good friend. Lawrence and loved will be missed by many. Rest in peace, my friend. Thank you.
We are fortunate to have two additional speakers who will pay the final tributes. Lawrence, our friend, presented by Anne-Marie Charbonneau, who is a dear friend of Lawrence and Mary. And last but certainly not least, Gina Gentili, niece to Lawrence, to pay tribute to Lawrence, our family member.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anne-Marie Charbonneau. I'm here. I'm going to speak on behalf of my husband, Guy Charbonneau, and I, who are a very dear friend of Mary and Lawrence, who is not with us anymore. We have known Lawrence and Mary for a few years, maybe over 10 years now. We moved to Fort Saskatchewan, and that's where we met Mary and Lawrence. Lawrence and my husband were avid hunters. I mean, a lot of you talk about Lawrence and his hunting. Yes, that was his passion. My husband grew up in Montreal, so he knows nothing about hunting, but Lawrence taught him everything he knew about hunting. And he embraced hunting, and they look forward to November every year to go hunting. Bill spoke about that, no, it's Jim who spoke about that treehouse thing they built out there, and him and my husband built that together, and that's where they'd go and hunt for hours until it gets dark. I wasn't fond of the deer meat, but after a while I get used to it and start to enjoy cooking it for my husband. And that's the hunting that Lawrence and my husband did together. They were best friends and very fond of each other. They both would go on and on in their French language because my husband is French and Lawrence spoke French. He is French also. And when he met my husband, he was so happy to dust off his French and pull it out again and start, talking in French. They never speak in English. So me and Mary would be there and I'm like, okay, what are you guys talking about over there, right? They would laugh about having un petit traite after they finished whatever project they were doing. Petit traite in French means a cold beer, a cold one, right? So they would giggle about that after repairing the roof or doing some project in the garage. As you say, all know, Lawrence was very meticulous carpenter. He made so many wonderful, beautiful things, and I have lots of it in my house to look back at, right? Some of my husband and I greatest memories of Lawrence were working on projects such as repairing the roof, building their stand for hunting, and just spending time in the garage. That was one of his favorite places for his pastime. Talking about what they had just watched on TikTok today, they both love their TikTok and send each other stuff all the time. My husband worked out of town, so whenever he comes home for a few days, he'd spend a lot of time with Lawrence, and they would send each other stuff they seen on TikTok and go on and on about that, right? Lawrence and I would discuss a lot about our gardening. I'm very passionate about my gardening. Mary's very passionate about her gardening. And Lawrence and I would talk about what we did, what we would do this year, what would change, and what was a failure last year. We'll not try that again. After Lawrence retired from carpentry, he had a lot of pastime on his hands, so he started to make, I think he was getting bored, so he started to make all kinds of things, right? So Mary started to complain about not having enough room for all this stuff he was building. Guess who started getting the stuff? I have numerous cutting boards, hangers for my measuring spoon. I don't know who hang our measuring spoon. Usually you throw it in a drawer or something. But no, not in my house. I have a nice, beautiful craft stand to hang my measuring spoons, right? And not plastic measuring spoons either. He made me a beautiful aquarium stand for my aquarium, a huge, solid aquarium stand, and I'll cherish that forever, right? The kids, they loved it and talk about it all the time. Mr. Lawrence made that. Everyone who comes to the house know that Mr. Lawrence made this because people always admire it. Oh, what a beautiful aquarium stand, and we'll make sure we say, Mr. Lawrence built that for us, right? I have a salon and that I work from home, and Lawrence made me stands to hang my hair on and all those things. There's so many things that Lawrence made after Mary had no room for anything else. Lawrence was very funny, kind, and a very compassionate man. The kids loved him very much. He loved his family and friends and cherished his beautiful wife, Mary. He was always teasing her and making jokes, and I admire the love they shared. My boys look up to him and love him when he would stop by the house to have a cold one with Dad. He was always reaching out to give a hand with whatever anyone's need to get done. He was a very kind, helpful man. And I know you guys spoke about how at Haiti something. Lawrence was so full of energy and all the illness he had been through, but he was always up and going. He's always bouncing back. He's always doing stuff and helping everyone out, right? Lawrence, you will be dearly missed by Guy and I and the kids and all your friends. Also the boys Kaylin and Keon. I get comfort in knowing you're in a better place. I leave with you this quote: death leaves a heartache no one can heal. Love leaves a memory no one can steal. Rest in peace, my dear friend.
A life well lived will never fade. It lives on through memories made. That is correct. I said that a life well lived will never fade. It lives on through memories made. This is a song that chronicles the impact and life of an extraordinary man who we all loved. In the next few minutes, I will describe how the life lovingly crafted by Uncle Lawrence will never, ever fade. His life will live through the framework of memories that he cultivated with family, friends, and this community. Uncle Lawrence's life had both meaning and purpose. Uncle Lawrence was a person who family, friends, and the community knew as reliable, honest, and trustworthy. He was deeply loved by my Aunt Mary and Lauren, and was loved and cherished by family members, Angela, my mother, Auntie Melda, Uncle Anthony, Uncle Marcel, and myself. I characterize Lawrence as a quiet hero. He did not pursue impermanent, shiny objects, only to discover how hollow those pursuits are. He did not seek fame, fortune, superficial recognition of power. Rather, he diligently performed honest work with creativity, focus, and excellence. For 38 years, I personally witnessed Uncle Lawrence consistently utilizing his skills to assist his friends and neighbors, regardless of the call for help. He assisted without complaint or expectation of compensation. In these bizarre times, an age when segments of the populace take pride in recording horrendously ill-mannered behavior towards our frontline staff in a bid to attain fame, Uncle Lawrence respected our important frontline workers. In his eyes, each worker was visible and valued as they should be. Uncle Lawrence is the only man I know with franchise at all. I repeat, all of the local businesses, from Walmart to Home Depot. Many call him dear friend. And importantly, these people maintain their friendships during his transitional journey. In fact, many of these friends sat vigil beside Uncle Lawrence hours before his home going. Importantly to our family, Uncle Lawrence was a decent man and a man of character. He was therefore an anti-racist. In a world full of hatred towards our people, he was loving, kind, respectful, joyful, and he was very, very genuine. Uncle Lawrence accomplished the exceptional feat of winning my formidable grandmother Marie's heart. Grandmother Marie presided over our family for 106 years. And I can assure you that he was extraordinary, as many tried and failed to win her heart, but he won her affection. He had a close, heartfelt relationship with her. He enjoyed Christmas, Easters, and summer vacations together. Neither I nor Lauren accomplished such distinction with our own grandmother. Uncle Lawrence possessed the dignity and comportment of a diplomat. He constructed friendships with people from around the globe. He made space in his life to value people from other cultures and races. They would gather and treat each other with true kindness and respect. He was a true global citizen. Uncle Lawrence and Mary's blueprint of lifelong kindness and generosity yielded overwhelming, unprecedented dividends of support during his journey. The Buddha stated, "Neither fire nor wind, birth nor death can erase our good deeds." Friends and colleagues from the community enveloped Lawrence, Aunt Mary, and Lauren with love and resolute support. My wonderful mother, Angela, and I are jaded Torontonians, but we personally witnessed wholehearted devotion for Lawrence. We became utterly exhausted answering the door for the constant flow of goods and service offerings over the last 2 weeks. It was absolutely overwhelming. Please indulge me as I recognize individuals who contributed support. The following support permitted Mary and Lauren to fully dedicate Uncle Lawrence with meticulous, loving frontline care. And may I just say that being a caregiver, many people don't really know what that entails. It is a labor of love. You have to be there 100% for that person. And Mary and Lauren did that. They dedicated themselves entirely, wholly, tirelessly. And that is why when we see Lawrence, he had a joyful disposition. What did they receive? Rides to Edmonton to the hospital, rides to the emergency department, regardless of the time, help with medication runs, gift baskets, chocolates, haircuts, Anne Marie, shaving, Uncle Lawrence, much needed snow shoveling, midnight snow shoveling and salting, abundant flowers, importantly, the visits. Cancer changes everything in your life, but it cannot take away love. And boy, was he showered with love. The visits. When you have cancer, and cancer rips everything away from you, it cannot take away the love of your family and friends. And boy, was he showered with love through the visits, because they are your life blood. Text, Zoom calls, and emails, furnace repair, plumbing, firewood, garbage and recycling assistance. Many people supported Uncle Lawrence, but we must recognize the following individuals for their presence to his very last breath: Rial, Victor, Kathy, Denise, Ron, Marissa, Kyle, Andrew, Kenzie, Linda, Serena, Nadine, Shannon, Jim, Bill, Jackie, Portia, Anne-Marie, Guy, Gigi, Jasmine, Keon, Laura, Layla, CJ, Azur, Larry, Laura, and Jim. I finally must recognize the very last friends to share precious moments with Uncle Lawrence, Anne-Marie and Guy Charbonneau. Guy worked a 12-hour shift, drove 7 hours, and they immediately came to the house, and they sat and they shared precious memories with him for 3 hours. We know, Anne-Marie, we know it was very difficult for you and for all the friends that sat vigil, but we thank you for placing your grief aside and being present for your friend. My mother and I are amazed by the breathtakingly beautiful gesture of the love of the 4 cats. They established shifts between themselves so that one would always be with Uncle Lawrence around the clock. We are still astonished. In fact, the cats are grieving. They have morphed from being exuberant and curious to being crestfallen and sullen. They are impacted by this monumental loss. Uncle Lawrence knew with the highest degree of certainty that he was loved. And that knowledge brought him great solace and tranquility as he had a celestial smile on his face when he went home. Uncle Lawrence's life contributions resulted in a legacy that will never fade, a legacy that will live on through his wife, children, grandchildren, sibling, and his friends. As Maury Schwartz stated in his literary masterpiece, Tuesdays with Maury, as long as we can love each other and remember the feeling of love that we had, we can die without ever going away. All the love you created is still here. All the memories are still here. You live in the hearts of everyone you have touched and nurtured while you were here. Uncle Lawrence built his life on a solid foundation of love, respect, dignity, kindness, and generosity. His house eternally resonates with love and friendship. Uncle Lawrence is in our hearts and minds forever. Therefore, he lives. I will conclude with an anonymous poem. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a root-filled gloom. Why cry for a soul fret-free? Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey that we all must take, and each must go alone. It is all a part of the master plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick of heart, go to the friends we know and bury your sorrows in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go. I know Nadine has asked that she can have one final word. Thank you.
My name is Nadine. I met Lawrence at Walmart, and I will cry. I'm sorry, Mary. Lawrence came to my till every week, sometimes with Mary. Like you said, he honored Frontline. We became very good friends. Mary, thank you for looking after our friend. Thank you, Lauren, for looking after our friend. Mary, thank you for inviting us to say goodbye. The phone calls, inviting us to say goodbye, Lawrence, to sit with him, to share in his pain. Anyone who didn't get a chance to say goodbye missed a great deal. Lawrence was a very special man. You are a very special person. So is all your family. Again, thank you for letting us share. Saying goodbye is so important. So many people do not get a chance to say goodbye to friends and family, especially family. You never get that chance back. Thank you, Mary.
Wow, I am wowed by the outpouring of all these beautiful tributes to a man that touched so many of you. It blows me away. As humans, we are multifaceted beings comprised of various dimensions and complexities. We continually influence all our relationships in diverse ways throughout our lifetime. You may have noticed that there was a common thread throughout these tributes of Lawrence that weave the fabric of his life. And that was that he was genuine and authentic. The presence of Lawrence in your life has added another significant chapter to your personal stories. As you continue to write and navigate your individual narratives, it is essential to acknowledge that life comprises a diverse array of chapters. Some filled with sadness, others with happiness, and still others with excitement. As you gaze upon the pages yet to be written, summon your courage and draw strength from within yourself and the support of those around you. It's remarkable how the universe aligns just when you least expect it. Yesterday, this reflection appeared on my feed and it spoke to me, and I'd like to share it with you. It reads, "Time is like a river. You cannot touch the same water twice, because the flow that has passed will never pass again. Take time to be mindful to enjoy every moment of your life." In this journey of grief, it is crucial to be compassionate and patient with one another. Each person will experience and process grief in their own unique way. Allow space and understanding for everyone's individual grieving process, respecting their needs and emotions. Robert Anderson states, "Death ends a life, but it does not end a relationship." Lawrence is not gone. He has changed form. Accept the angels in human form who have come along with a word, a hug, or a memory to share. Or when you see a butter or dragonfly, or even a blue jay or cardinal nearby, it's Lawrence who has come by to say hello. When you find a dime, it's a sign from Lawrence letting you know that he is near, and it's his way of sending encouragement and peace, as well as letting you know that he is looking out for you. And when you come across a feather, it is a symbol of acknowledgement that someone or something in the spirit world is looking out for you, keeping you safe, and empowering you to whatever path you set upon. So before we conclude this part of the service, once again, on behalf of Mary and family, let me express their gratitude for your presence here today, and more importantly, for being that beam of light in their time of darkness. As mentioned earlier, the family invites you to stay and share memories, more memories, for a light lunch and fellowship. Blessings to you all. Thank you for allowing me to walk this journey with you. It has been an honor and a privilege. With much love, I wish you all ease and grace in your grief journey. Life is precious. Life is short. Go in peace, be kind and forgiving to one another. Amen. But before I leave you, I came across an excerpt, not an expert, because we know that Lawrence was the expert, from Gone Hunting by David Ritter. And I thought it was only fitting of Lawrence, and it reads, "Remember the smiles and not the tears, for all the hunts throughout the years. Don't dwell on things left unsaid. Cherish the moments we had instead. So don't cry for me because life is done. Stalking the fields has just begun. Come fall, may smiles adorn your face, knowing I've gone hunting in a better place." Thank you.